If you're looking for a movie about finding Mr. or Mrs. Right, then this movie is not for you.
Nope. How to Be Single with Dakota Johnson and Rebel Wilson tackles love and romance for those rolling solo.
Hi, I'm Leslie Mann.
I'm Dakota Johnson.
Here's a scene from our new movie,
How to Be Single.
Where are you going?
I'm going home.
I know breaking up sucks, but you know what's even worse? Wasting a night in New York City.
Give it to me, I'm worth it.
Let me teach you how to be single.
This movie is obviously about being single, so you learn that there's like different types of singles. What kind of single is your character?
So my character, Robin, is just a real independent spirit. And she really feels like she doesn't need to be attached to a guy to feel complete. She is complete. She knows herself, she loves herself, and she really goes out and has a good time. So she's like a party girl who's really confident and independent. This is Alice. She's been single for like 150 years and needs to make out with a random stranger.
Alice is like really bad at being single, really codependent, needy.
and Meg is very independent and a workaholic and isn't really thinking about being in a relationship at all.
Go get us some drinks.
Okay.
No, you don't buy the drinks. Boys buy the drinks. Not with this wallet.
Okay.
It has to be so much fun creating this adventure of the single world. What did you love about that?
The first thing when I read the script, I thought, okay, why hasn't shown anybody this film to me when I was single? You know, why didn't anybody make this film before? And so I really wanted to make the movie because I think, you know, it captures the spirit so well of being single and how much fun it is. Action! The friendship that you build in your single times, I think you never ever, any other time in your life have the opportunity to build, you know, such strong friendships.
I don't know if it shows you how. It's more of an observation of what it's like to be single for these individual characters, and it's kind of like watching them explore it. Not kind of. That's exactly what it is.
You have to be at work in like 30 minutes.
I can do this in 20. Step 1.
That stuff is for babies.
Babies with hangovers. Are we good? Payment accepted. Let's go.
I fell in the trap of trying to pinpoint like who should be match made with everybody, but
Yeah.
that's not what this movie's about at all.
Yeah, it's not like you're thinking, oh, who's gonna end up with who at the end. And it's really good because like you can't really predict the end.
You want to learn how to stay single.
I think a big lesson that my character learns is to loosen up a little bit and to be more open. You know, I think when you have just carefully designed what you're expecting, it's gonna be so difficult to find, and if you kind of open yourself up a little more, somebody might surprise you. There are 8 million people in this city. Sounds like a lot, right? But half of them are women.
I also like how New York was shown, because you always see gray New York, but this was like a beautiful, fresh, alive New York.
It was beautiful. I loved the way they shot the city. The cinematography was so great. I feel like we used a lot of different parts of the city.
It was a perfect time of year.
It was
like
great.
crisp in the morning, but then like nice by the afternoon.
We were there in the springtime.
Yeah.
I came to New York as a tourist before I shot that film, and I was just I was just like literally walking through the cities for days, you know, taking photos and everything. And when we started preparing this movie, we looked at the photos, my production designer and my DP and I said, okay, I want the movie to feel like this.
It was kind of like I'm working, but I'm on holidays living in New York for a couple months. So I just have always just had a great love of New York.
The thing about being single is you should cherish it.
Oh my God, stop having a moment.
Another thing that I like about this film is that you really learn that being alone is not synonymous with being lonely. Or being single, it doesn't mean you have to be lonely. You can be alone and then still have an adventurous life. What did you feel like is the theme of this movie?
I think you just said it, right? Yeah, you did.
Good job.
Yeah, it's about enjoying that time in your life before you know, if you decide to get married and have a baby or a family.
Yeah.
Enjoying the time before that happens, and that it's okay to be single.
Hi. Hi. You must be Alice's sister.
I think you sort of summed it up, that it's being alone doesn't mean that you have to be lonely, and that's really the journey that you know, Dakota, I think in particular, goes through in this movie.
I've never understood that when people like find out you're single for a while and then they're like, oh, but don't you get lonely? And I'm like, no, like I like being on my own.
For me, the theme of the movie was always like the search for happiness, and I think it's very different from person to person.
It's being able to be complete with yourself, and then when the time is right, adding that other person into your happiness.
Where to?
Home.
Hey! I'm serious! Alice, you're single now. You do not go home.